Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to come out of politics. So, Reform UK are determined to never need anything bigger than a taxi to take them on their work outings, as they lose another MP, this time to allegations of misusing COVID funds in 2020. But first, for daily news and politics, please click the subscribe button, stay notified. So, Sunday Times have run an expose on Reform UK's James McMurdock today. They allege that he may have abused the COVID loan system designed to help keep businesses afloat. When the paper approached McMurdock with the allegations, he voluntarily surrendered his party whip in Parliament, which is a bit of an indicator that he's sort of thinking, hello, this is serious, and there must be considerable evidence against him, although he says otherwise. Lee Anderson, Reform UK's chief whip, then posted a statement. It's the second time he's had to post a statement about the party dropping 20% of its parliamentary force so far this year. So what are these allegations? Well, back in 2020, as COVID took hold, with the government needing to lock down after facing the consequences of deciding that trying to get everyone in the country infected would be a great way to deal with it. So Rishi Sunak, as Chancellor, authorised funds to keep businesses and employees chugging along. Well, most anyway. It is worth noting at this point, again, that he deliberately left out several million subcontractors and others from the financial support, the group of people we now know as the excluded. But there were loans made available for businesses to help as the lockdown prevented many such companies operating. The Sunday Times alleges that James McMurdock took out 2 such loans for companies registered to him at the time. They say one was for the maximum amount of £50,000 for a medium-sized company, and this company had 0 employees and, until COVID, negligible assets. The article notes that to take out such a loan, the company would have needed an annual turnover of at least £200,000. The article also says that in 2021, he transferred his shares in that company to his mother and resigned as director. The other company was alleged to be like a fitness company, which was, according to the Sunday Times, dormant until the end of January 2020, just before COVID, and borrowed £20,000 in COVID loans, for which it would have needed a turnover of £80,000 a year, which is probably unlikely if it really was dormant. Now, I recall at the time that these schemes were announced, that MPs were concerned with the lack of safeguards on the loan system. Sunak had talked about the need for haste. Oh, well, we can't do it properly because we need to do it quickly. But I seem to remember other countries managed to do similar things without being exposed to obvious levels of fraud. And we know that billions of pounds worth of fraud was committed because the now Labour government have appointed a team to claw back as much of it as possible. I wonder if this COVID fraud team will now be looking into recouping money from reformers McMurdock. But it's worth bearing in mind that cynical little me did comment at the time that it was almost like the Tories were using COVID as cover for funneling loads of public money into the hands of their business owning mates and not showing very much concern for whether those businesses were even real. And if this occurred to me at the time, I imagine it occurred to lots of people who had businesses registered to them, but weren't necessarily operating in any serious way. But I can certainly imagine some would have looked at the lack of guardrails and taken advantage. However, if McMurdock has been a naughty boy, as the Sunday Times is suggesting, I wonder if he will learn the golden rule. If you're going to commit fraud, then either make sure you're running the government before the law catches up with you, like Donald Trump, or keep a very low profile. I'm not sure becoming an MP on a mission to destroy the UK is the best role to fill if you're trying to avoid scrutiny of your business dealings. Oh, and for good measure, the Sunday Times also suggests that McMurdock seems to have left the second of these 2 companies off his parliamentary register of interests, where he is still apparently a director. So he may well be facing a few investigations here. There's definitely one from the Parliamentary Standards Commission, maybe one from HMRC, maybe one from the police or the National Crime Agency. Also, just for a laugh, Reform UK have said they're going to hold their own investigation. Being clear, McMurdock insists that qualified accountants have verified that everything was above board. He also attacked the journalist from the Sunday Times for being aggressive and clumsy. McMurdock is certainly the authority on aggressive clumsiness, isn't it, after the way he beat his girlfriend so badly he ended up in prison. His statement was, of course, lawyered. Obviously so, in fact. I mean, he posted the statement from his own Twitter account and it began, "Statement from James McMurdock." which is a weird way to present something that's supposed to be from yourself. I mean, I've seen people in the past in situations like this have a statement that's produced in conjunction with their lawyers, and they still present it as if it's from them. This is just weird wording. But anyway, what does it mean for Reform UK? Well, despite riding high in the polls still, it's not exactly all going their own way. Last week, 2 of their Durham council wins from May were up for by-election after the original councillors resigned. There's been a bit of that going on. What do you mean I won? I didn't want to win. What do you mean I've got to go to meetings? Oh, I can't be asked with this. I resign. So there's various by-elections now costing the public money. And last week, there were 2 by-elections from Durham, and Reform UK lost both seats. Perhaps the locals weren't impressed with the clown show that's been going on. It has to be said, Reform UK have been making a proper arse of running their newly acquired councils, and this seems to be especially the case in places like Durham. In terms of their parliamentary force, they won 5 seats at the election last year. They've booted Rupert Lowe out earlier this year, from their point of view, for harassment. But most people think that whether the allegations are true or not, it was actually because Lowe dared criticise El Presidente. Now they've lost another to allegations of fraud. Now, maybe McMurdock will be cleared by all the investigations. I'm going to guess that the Reform UK investigation will be concluded last, and we'll just report whatever findings the others came up with. But at least for now, for the second time, 5 have become 4. If only Labour had fought the Runcorn by-election properly in May, it would be proper hilarious. Remember, Reform UK won that by-election by just 6 votes. And Labour sent no senior MPs to campaign on the week of the election itself. Angela Rayner, I think, was there the week before. If they'd sent Rayner, Miliband, maybe a few others, for the day of the vote and the day before, 2 crucial days, they're your real crucial days, they would definitely have been able to drum up 6, 7 extra votes, right? Or if Labour hadn't made such an arse of the winter fuel policy, they'd have walked that election anyway. At which point, Reform UK would now be in the position of having lost 40% of their MPs and left only with the leader, the deputy leader, and the chief whip. Like Lee Anderson would be the chief whip of a party with literally no MPs to whip, because obviously he can't tell the leader or deputy leader what to do. But alas, Labour gave up Runcorn as a loss and then only lost by 6 votes. Absolute spanners. Oh, sorry, I forgot. McSweeney's an electoral genius though, isn't he? I'm putting no serious effort into winning an election and then losing it by a volleyball team. That is something else. I'm not sure I'd call it electoral genius, but it is impressive nonetheless. Bit like having a split in a new party before you've even come up with the name. So we'll just have to content ourselves joking that the parliamentary party can once again all fit comfortably into the back of a taxi. Like maybe now that Elon Musk doesn't seem interested in funding them, they don't feel able to upgrade to a minibus perhaps. And if McMurdock is found guilty, and the investigation backs this up, then it will be awkward, especially as by the time the investigations are concluded, we will have a much clearer view of how the party did at the local level. So any guilty verdict for McMurdock suddenly becomes newsworthy. That will be reported and will provide an opportunity to scrutinise the wider party. How, for example, are those councils where Reform UK have put teenagers in charge of sensitive children's services, how will they be doing? I see Darren Grimes is trying to use Farage's line. He's claiming he can't meet his constituents in person because of security reasons. It was bollocks for Farage, it's bollocks for Grimes. But although Farage seems to be getting away with it, will Reform councillors get away with not doing their jobs properly? The 2 by-election losses last week might suggest not. But let me know what you think in the comments below. For more content, you could subscribe to the channel or even join for access to streams and behind the scenes updates. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.